In Trump's fight against China, Mexico and Canada are getting caught in the crosshairs. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. We're in Operation Honeypot Phase 2, so don't forget to watch this episode until the end and leave a like and Honeypot comment below. I'll have a special 1-month update on Operation Honeypot at the end of this episode. And speaking of operations, the Trump trade war has begun. Again. U.S. President Donald J. Trump recently imposed tariffs of 25% on Canadian and Mexican goods and 10% on Chinese ones. This left some people very confused. Canada? Why is the U.S. targeting Canada? There are friendly neighbors to the north who like hockey and maple syrup and poutine. Others say tariffs are attacks on Americans. If that's the case, we're in luck because the tariffs on Mexico and Canada have been suspended for a month. But not for China. The reason? Well, Trump got at least some of what he wanted out of America's neighbors. Mexico agreed to deploy 10,000 troops to the U.S. border to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants. And Canada soon followed with its own deployment of 10,000 frontline personnel, along with appointing a fentanyl czar, listing the cartels as terrorists, and launching a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. But why would Trump threaten tariffs in the first place if they're so bad for the U.S. economy? And why Canada and Mexico? Well, really, it's all about China. Trump has made it clear that the tariff threats are taking aim at fentanyl trafficking. As fans of the show know, China is intentionally subsidizing fentanyl exports to the U.S., including fentanyl precursors. For Americans aged 18 to 45, the leading cause of death is fentanyl overdose. China is waging a drug war against the United States, and the Mexican drug cartels are in on it, trading cash and exotic goods for Chinese fentanyl precursors and using China to launder money. But fentanyl is going through Canada too. Now, some will say that fentanyl seizures from Canada are tiny compared with those from Mexico. CNN claims that Canada makes up just 0.2% of U.S. border fentanyl seizures. But that's very deceiving. That's like saying Ted Bundy was nicer than Pol Pot. Sure, but I'm still not going to let him babysit. U.S. Customs agents seized 43 pounds worth of fentanyl at the Canadian border last year. Oh, well, that's nothing. That's just enough fentanyl to kill 9.7 million Americans. It takes just 2 milligrams to kill a person. The other problem is that a lot of the fentanyl coming from Canada isn't caught at the border. It's caught inside the United States. There are many cases of Canadian truck drivers getting caught with loads of drugs on U.S. soil, partially thanks to very little enforcement and audits, because you made the mistake of trusting Canada. They're just playing nice. Look up defense scheme number 1. Even the mainstream media admits that Canada is actually becoming a fentanyl exporter, with fentanyl super labs in Canada linked to the Mexican cartels and China, which is terrible, but it does make me want to watch a TV show about it. These 4 busts alone, 3 of them from within the last 6 months, represent over $1 billion in drug profits. And a lot of that money is going back to China. Canadian investigative journalist Sam Cooper, in his book Willful Blindness, revealed the deep connections between the Trudeau family and China. And now the Chinese Communist Party turned Vancouver into a drug and human trafficking mecca. According to leaked top-secret military documents, Trudeau invited Chinese troops to train at Canadian military bases. That's right, China's People's Liberation Army was right across the border. Hopefully, the U.S., Mexico, and Canada can work out something to crack down on China in the long term. You know, the thing I've been saying they should do since before I could grow facial hair. But now let's look at the tariffs on China. Trump is taking on Chinese tariff loopholes by taking away duty drawbacks for goods originating from China. Let me tell you what that means. Until now, if a company imported goods from China, like say Chinese steel or rare earths, paid duties on them, and then later exported the final product, the company would get a refund for the original import duty. No longer. What Trump wants here is for American companies that sell internationally to stop getting their materials from China. The idea is to bring the entire manufacturing supply chain back to the U.S. Whether that's possible is another matter. But this is likely to be a severe blow to China's exports, something that China needs now more than ever to build up its economy that's more broken than something built there after being used for 5 minutes. Another major blow to China's exports is Trump taking away its de minimis exemption. It's a loophole used by the likes of Temu, Shein, and AliExpress to directly deliver packages less than $800 to consumers duty-free. I'd say they make Amazon look good, but that'd be another example of comparing Ted Bundy to Pol Pot. This was something the Biden administration wanted to tackle but never went through with. It's cheaper to send something from Shanghai to San Francisco than from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Chinese companies were able to exploit the de minimis exemption to save billions on import taxes and dominate entire markets with cheap Chinese crap. The Select Committee on the CCP believes Temu and Shein alone are responsible for more than 30% of all packages shipped to the U.S. under the de minimis provision, and nearly half of all de minimis shipments to the U.S. come from China. Because fentanyl isn't the only addictive crap China is flooding the U.S. with. This is potentially as much as $100 billion of exports the U.S. hasn't calculated in its official trade data with China, since de minimis exports don't appear on typical trade data. Now, some will say getting rid of this will make things more expensive for American consumers. But the prices for cheap Chinese crap were artificially low in the first place, thanks in no small part to Chinese subsidies, the U.S. government, i.e. taxpayers paying for Chinese international mail, and, slave labor. But hey, you get to save $11 on a blouse, so totally worth it. This could actually increase safety and accountability. Since de minimis exports don't require customs declaration, China could easily export things like drugs, counterfeit goods, and products made with forced labor without the U.S. government knowing it. That's going to be a lot harder now. So are Trump's tariffs good or bad? Well, it's hard to say. We'll have to wait and see what the long-term effects are, and whether they're more than just symbolic victories. And now, it's been 4 weeks since we launched Operation Honeypot in response to YouTube suddenly cutting our views in half. And you, my 50-cent army, have fought valiantly to stop YouTube's soft censorship. Your consistent effort is turning the tide. In the last 4 weeks, you've left over 110,000 honeypot comments on China Uncensored videos. You've gotten YouTube to respond and launch their own investigation. And 77% of the videos we've published since Operation Honeypot began have gotten over 100,000 views. 22% have gotten over 200,000 views. After YouTube suddenly cut our views back in November, less than half of our videos were getting 100,000 views. So that's a huge win. And finally, so many of you are telling me you're finally seeing me in your recommended videos again, after I mysteriously vanished for months or even years. Thank you, Ringo Ami, Tenocious, Jack Merrick, Dr. Michael Marks, and Tim Van Delure for letting me know. What I've loved the most about Operation Honeypot is hearing from you, my 50-cent army, in the comments of each video. Thank you, Miles and Hanafuda, for watching China Uncensored for over a decade. Thank you, X0X and Kit Chan Isaac, for your support all the way from mainland China and Hong Kong. And thank you, Zerals, you're absolutely right. Do not get catfished by communism. So I would say Operation Honeypot has been a huge success so far, but we still have a long way to go. I'm going to show you what YouTube is telling me about our views. Even though Operation Honeypot has stopped China Uncensored's death spiral, we're still missing almost 1.8 million views. There are still lots of people out there who are not seeing China Uncensored in their recommendations, so Operation Honeypot still has work to do. And as you can imagine, this has also been a huge financial loss for our show. If you can support us, please join our premium website at ChinaUncensored.tv. We do exclusive episodes and live streams there too. If it wasn't for our website subscribers, we wouldn't have been able to get through the past few months. So thank you to all of our subscribers. And if you can't subscribe right now to our website, thank you for supporting Operation Honeypot. Remember to click on China Uncensored videos in your recommended feed. Watch my videos until the end and leave a like and a honeypot comment. I'm Chris Chappell, 50 Cent Army. Let the honey flow.